Hi, everybody, and welcome to 13 Now. I'm News 13's Amy Hoyt, and we are live in our newsroom on Harrison Avenue. As your local election headquarters, we will be interviewing all 6 candidates who are in the Lynn Haven City runoff election coming up on May 18th. Tonight, we begin with candidates for Lynn Haven Commission Seat 4, incumbent Judy Tinder, and her challenger, Brian Dick. And welcome to both of you tonight. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Before we get started, we want to kind of lay out the ground rules. It's supposed to be casual, but we do have a few rules we're going to follow. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer the same question starting in alphabetical order, then alternating throughout the debate. And they will also have an opportunity to ask each other a question. And while, again, we want to keep this casual, we will time your answers to about 1.5 minutes each, okay? There will be follow-up questions if I hear you say something that I feel like needs to be clarified. So we'll begin with an opening statement, and we will begin with the incumbent, Judy Tinder.
Hi, thank you for having us tonight. I've been a commissioner at the City of Lynn Haven for the last 4 years. I've enjoyed 98% of it, if I'm going to be honest. I think we've accomplished a lot, and we've had a lot going on. This was probably the worst 4 years that anybody could choose to have been on the commission because of everything that's taken place. But I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to rebuilding the city. I think it's very exciting what's about to happen, and it's coming right up. I actually moved to Lynn Haven in 1988. I've lived there, same house, ever since then. And my daughter graduated from Mosley High School in 1992. She probably hates that I said that, but Lynn Haven's a great city. We have things that we need to take care of. We have things that we need to straighten up and, become more transparent and things that have got to be fixed for our people and for the people who love Lynn Haven and have lived there all their lives. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Brian Dick.
Thank you, Amy, and thank you for having us on. This is a great forum. My name is Brian Dick. Family moved here in 1979 from Ohio. We've owned several businesses throughout Bay County. The most recognizable one would have been the one, the ice cream cone next to Church's Chicken on Cove Boulevard. It was Bentley's Ice Cream. We had that when I was in junior high. Married, excuse me. All my kids are grown and gone, so my wife and I are empty nesters, and we just work here locally in Lynn Haven. I'm wanting to, be elected for city commissioner because I think that what the city is looking for is a do-over, if you will, something fresh, something new, something transparent, something trustworthy, and I think that I can bring all of those to the table. I believe that the direction that the city is going is in a very, very good direction, and I want to continue to help, pushing that along. So I'm looking forward to any questions.
All right, perfect. All right, we're ready to begin. We're going to put 1.5 minutes on the clock each time they answer. And Brady Calhoun, who is our digital executive director, is out of camera shot, smart guy, but you'll hear him in the background letting us know when that 1.5 minutes goes. We'll begin with the FBI investigation into Lynn Haven. 5 people have been found guilty of corruption, mostly related to Hurricane Michael recovery. 2 more people, former Mayor Margot Anderson and developer James Finch of Phoenix Construction, face charges and a trial. Have you been following the federal case, and how do you believe it affects the city moving forward? And Mr. Dick, you go first.
Yes, I have been following this case very heavily, and it is affected this city in such a nasty way because we just came out of a hurricane. We were looking for those that we elected to do our bidding, to bring the city back, and instead there were some that felt it necessary to take advantage for whatever reason. FBI doesn't indict anybody for just any reason. So there is a there for that. What that is, we'll all find out. But moving forward, I think that all of the corruption's got to come out. And I think that, unfortunately for Lynn Haven, the FBI is not done yet.
So you think there's more?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Tinder?
I definitely agree with Mr. Dick. There are more to come. I think that what's happened in the past is very unfortunate, but I also believe that it was too easy. I think it was too easy for those that stole from the city. The first 5 that were indicted, I believe the figure is something like 5.5 million. That's a lot of money. And I don't think half of our residents even realize that's how much they have taken from us. We have to have things in place to stop and to prevent this from ever happening again. It's very easy and it's comforting to say, let's just let that go and move on. Let's just move on. If we don't remember the past, we can't fix the future. That's my opinion. And I think we have to put things in place to make sure it never happens again. We have to have checks and balances that we did not have. And when this took place after the hurricane, we had one person in charge with one person by his side. And I think it's just something we need to correct so it never happens again.
All right, thank you so much. Well, here's a question for both of you, and Ms. Tinder, you'll go first this time. We hear the words trust and transparency from almost every candidate, especially in light of the corruption scandal. What do those words really mean to you, and how can voters depend on you to operate with integrity if elected?
Well, I don't think they can have any trust until we are totally transparent. They just automatically assume, and when I say they, I mean residents, they automatically assume that they're being lied to, and they have some reason to believe that because of the way things are being done. They have reason to believe that we only tell them what they want to know, and sometimes I feel that way. So I think it's a matter of being transparent. There are other cities who actually have everything on their website. They have salaries of people that work there. They have permitting fees that are published. They have all kinds of things like this that help the residents believe that we're not hiding anything. I think that comes with the change that I think needs to be made. And then trust will come after that.
All right. Mr. Dick?
I would also agree with what Ms. Tinder just said, with the knowledge also of that as a sitting commissioner, if you are asked a question about something, you should do your best to answer it as truthfully and as honestly as possible when it is asked. There was a situation in December when Ms. Gaynor's evaluation was coming, and a gentleman stood up.
The city manager.
Yes, the city manager, Vicki Gaynor. And a gentleman came up and spoke about what people were doing after the hurricane and so on, and made an accusation that Ms. Tinder had made right at her over $90,000 right after the hurricane. She adamantly denied it in the following meeting. She adamantly denied it. And so I did some digging because that's an awful odd comment to make. And what I found from the county was the processed checks that were sent to her and her business in the amount of $87,000, which I happen to have here.
You're talking about Ms. Tinder now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to have to let you respond to that. Go ahead.
Thank you.
30 seconds for response.
Okay, I also have a copy of that right here. We were written a total of $43,450 for catering that we did for the county from October to January 1. That is the total right here. I got it straight from the courthouse. So I don't know where you got your figures, but that's okay. Mine came from the people that paid me the checks, or actually paid my business partner the checks.
This would have came from Bay County, who issued the checks.
All right,
And-
so
and
tell
I-
me what it is you're saying.
All right,
That
so.
she gained $87,000 by
No,
doing...
she didn't gain 87, she gained 40 some odd, because what she actually said. that she-
Thousand.
Right, because what she actually said that she earned was between 40 and 45, somewhere around there. But then when she paid everybody out, she may have made about 20,000. Am I correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. So once again, when a gentleman goes up there and says this astronomical amount, and then she says this little amount, a little red flag goes up. And so that's where I got this, which has all of the checks that were issued to VJ's Peanut, which is Victoria's Last Bite. And you can see here, as it's tallied, $87,131.
All right, what's up?
Well, it's just not true. I mean, I've got the record. You see the total. It says 43,000. That's what we were paid. And if you want to come,
What are you saying she's done with that money?
yeah, what are you saying?
No, and the thing is I would commend her for making $87,000.
I wish I had.
But what I'm saying is if you're asked how much money you made, and you're going to be honest and transparent and trustworthy, you will have said this dollar amount because that's what you made. You won't say something less. Why not be proud of what you made and what you and your company did? That's just the beginning of showing a lack of transparency, a lack of trust. In a roundabout way, after that whole situation, it just created a huge amount of division because people wanted to believe this, but you had proof over here of this.
All right, we're going to have to, I'll give you one more chance to respond. I'm not sure I'm understanding.
Right.
He's saying,
I think he's
you
saying-
fibbed about a lot of money.
Right,
That's
he's
what I'm
saying I
hearing.
fibbed about a lot of money. I've got the checklist right here, the check numbers, how much they were written for, and the dates they were written on.
And I
we
have
were
those as
actually
well.
okay. Well, I was paid $43,450 by Bay County for catering 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and for 2 months, 2.5 months. So after you take $43,000 and you take out salaries, because we had to have people there 12 hours a day,
Absolutely.
take out the cost of food, which was a little over $13,000. And I handed these out at the next commission meeting, by the way, after that was our HR director's husband, I believe, that got up waving those papers around. I didn't argue with him because I didn't have the facts in front of me.
Sure.
So I went and got them. So
All right.
I would still stand behind my facts.
I think what we'll have to do is if I can get you both to leave me a copy of that, or
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
use the good old-fashioned Xerox machine so that we can
Absolutely.
follow through
Be more than
tomorrow.
happy to.
All right, we appreciate that. All right, next question. Let's talk about issues that have been ongoing in Lynn Haven. And we'll start with stormwater drainage issues because they've been around. While progress has been made to improve conditions, it's still not where it should be in every neighborhood. We saw that with flooding from Hurricane Sally last fall. If elected, and we'll start with you, Brian Dick, what steps will you take to get the system properly working for good?
Okay, and thank you for that, because I have sat down with Chris Lightfoot, who, him and Bobby Baker head up their department of, for stormwater issues. And the one thing that Chris had given me was a printout of what was taking place now, what's scheduled to take place, and what has been completed. And so what I would implore the commission to do is have possibly a workshop, if need be, to sit down with him and say, okay, these are everything and prioritize it and put a dollar amount to it. And then the one thing that I haven't heard any other candidate talk about was the American Rescue Plan, which Biden put out, and it's giving Lynn Haven itself $8.63 million for water, sewer, stormwater. You can take that money, and when you apply it to projects, you're going to get 50% of it up front, so that's going to be $4.3 million.
30.
After 12 months, you'll get the other half of that. According to what Mr. Lightfoot told me, he can do quite a bit of repairs with just that money, and that may actually be able to have us reduce the ad valorem amount that was put on, and taking that money off of the utility bill and put it on an non-ad valorem for the stormwater. That may be able to actually reduce that amount. And that would be something that I think the commission and the public would be very, very interested in doing.
All right, Commissioner Tinder, stormwater.
Stormwater. This is a subject that comes up everywhere we turn. We did indeed have a workshop with Mr. Lightfoot a couple of weeks ago, and he is putting together the figures. One of the biggest things is the city can't afford it. City does not have budgeting for this. It's going to be huge. It's going to take a long time. We have been cleaning out sewers, lining pipes in the street for the last 4 years, and we've spent a small fortune doing that. Stormwater is always going to be an issue. If I get calls, I would say the most calls I get are about stormwater. People are tired of walking through their driveways in 5 inches of water. They come out, their backyards are flooded. The mosquitoes. This time of year, the residents get more and more concerned. I know people's house who flood if it rains more than 2 hours, still to today. So it is a huge issue, but it's a matter of getting all the ducks in the same church, in the same row, and agreeing on how we can fix it. I think we just need some down-home conversation about how to make it happen.
All right, next question. You get to go first. In the April election, residents of Lynn Haven voted to continue to offer a tax incentive to new or existing businesses that provide full-time employment. Do you believe that's beneficial to the city, and what will you do specifically to attract new business to the area?
I do believe it's beneficial to the city, and for this reason. It's a tool in our toolbox. Attracting business is a hard thing to do, and especially when Bay County has property as well as us. But having that at our disposal, I don't necessarily think we should offer it all the time. I know that people have been stuck where they offer tax incentives and then they leave, and we never get the money back. I do think that there can be some arrangements made with that tool by offering it possibly in increments, or offering it after a certain time period, after the employer has employed people or whatever they've promised the city they're going to do.
So there are no fail-safes in place when you offer that tax incentive?
They give it to them right up front usually.
Okay, because you know the county changed the way they did that type of tax incentive because of this issue.
Yes, and hopefully we will be doing the same thing. No, in the past it's been, if you promise us 100 jobs in so much time, then you've paid back what we consider your debt. So we have to look at that very carefully to draw a larger business.
A majority of what Ms. Tinder said, I wholeheartedly agree with. Yes, it is beneficial for the city of Lynn Haven to have these tools, as she put it. I think that what needs to happen is a stronger check and balance on it, but it cannot go for just new industry coming in. You have to take care of those who are existing. The trains, the Merrick, I think it is. These other businesses, even small businesses, mom and pop businesses who have been there and have grown their business and increased their employee size. They deserve to have that as a show of appreciation, if nothing else. I don't agree with everything being paid up front. No. You can't do that, because it's going to leave yourself open for an opportunity to be taken advantage of. Lynn Haven's been taken advantage of enough. We don't need it anymore.
All right, another challenge the city faces is infrastructure. Most recently, the city approved a controversial housing development proposed in the Mill Bayou area. Residents were very upset. They came to commission meetings and spoke about it. They say the infrastructure in that area is already burdened, and this will cause even worse traffic problems around their neighborhoods, their homes. You've got North Bay Haven over there. It's just traffic delays when school's letting in and out. Would you, or did you, because you go first, and you're not in office yet, and you are, did you vote for the development? Would you, and what will you do to address residents' concerns now that it's been approved?
Okay. And I was at the workshop for the Mill Bayou, and I wholeheartedly sympathize with all the residents there. I happen to be fortunate enough to work for a home builder, and so I understand some of their questions pertaining to how's this going to affect my property value, the safety aspect for children with the traffic patterns that the way there are in there. But I also understand the aspect in the stance of the developer. He's got this piece of property. He believes that he should be able to develop it in the manner that he sees fit, and so it's a very tough place to be put in.
Would you have voted for it if you were in office? It's a yes or no question.
It's not, though.
But it is.
But the reason it's not a yes or no, because if I were to say yes, I would have voted for it. I'm going to have a lot of upset constituents for a lot of years. If I would have voted no, the city of Lynn Haven would be facing yet another lawsuit.
But if you get elected, you got to make a decision
Sure.
on the spot or after research.
I would have probably said yes, because the city's already under a lawsuit, and they don't need to have another one.
All right, Ms. Tinder, you voted.
I voted
You were
no.
the dissenting vote.
Yes,
it
I was.
4-1. Okay.
Yes.
Tell us why.
Oh, absolutely. I had talked to so many residents. I had gone out there and sat and watched the traffic in the morning, and it was unbelievable to me. If somebody were to have a heart attack or need an ambulance in that neighborhood, Mill Bayou, behind the school, there's a good chance they would die before an ambulance could get there. There's a single lane road. I also went out and observed the day after we voted just to see what was going on, and I was there from 6:45 till about 7:15. I have never seen so much traffic. I recently published it on my Facebook. Traffic coming from all three directions. I saw 8, 9-year-old children running across the street while the traffic is coming each direction. My biggest problem with this, and I think it could have been solved in a common sense form, which sometimes when it comes to politics, people have no common sense. And I believe that the entrance to the new Arbor development is in the wrong place, and it should be moved about a mile down the road so it does not conflict with the kids.
Is it too late? Is it too late to make that decision, or can the city make that change?
No, the city, once they've voted on it, this is the concession that they voted on, that they can develop the entire development. They'll be putting the road in. Cars will be coming and going. The concession they made was they can give occupancy to the northern section, the part up by 389, and the southern section, they have to wait 2 years to sell them.
All right. Do you think there's a way to fix that now? I'll give you 30 seconds.
I believe that some of the things that were mentioned was with Pipeline Road. I do know the county has an easement in there, and there's a couple of pieces of property that's owned by a couple of people. And the difficulty is redeveloping that road to make it feasible. But I think when you're looking at the amount of development that's going to be going on in there, I think that this is something that really, really should be looked at and done. And as she said, with the COs not being available for at least 2 years, hopefully in that time frame, they'll be able to look at the traffic.
Quick response. I mean, you got any plans to fix this since it's already a done deal?
I think it's a done deal, and the vote was 3-1, and they usually don't go back and change anything. I'd like to see the developer step up and do the right thing. It's all about doing the right thing. I realize people can build on their property, and they have millions of dollars already, millions and millions, but they just want that one more million without thinking about the people who live there. These are not just widgets. These are people that have families in them, and their lives depend on this. And I think it's just a negative that should have been corrected a long time ago.
Right.
The traffic study was done at 6 o'clock at night, which affects nobody in any way. And so,
we'll be hearing more about this one, I know for sure.
Yes.
All right. Ms. Tinder, you get the next question first. This race was tight during the April election, creating a runoff. Brian Gray came in second place, but then dropped out, saying he was threatened, had an issue, and he decided to step out of the race. Did you or anyone in your campaign help him make that decision?
Absolutely not. I was actually, somebody emailed me at work that day and said, "Oh, Brian Gray dropped out." And I looked at my email. I was very busy. And I said, "What?" I waited about 30 minutes, and I called Mark Anderson. I called the supervisor of elections, and I go, "What is this talk? What do you mean he dropped out?" Mr. Anderson told me the only thing he could say was that it's due to technical difficulty. And he said, "Judy, that's all I can say. But yes, he has dropped out. And I've checked with our attorneys, and now you will run against Mr. Dick. Since I only had 49.88% of the vote, I had to have 50 plus 1.
Right. Have you spoken to him since?
Absolutely.
On your Facebook page, after the election, you had said, because this happened, but you would support him if he runs in 2 years.
Absolutely.
But your seat is 4 years.
Right.
So you don't plan on fulfilling the 4 years if you're reelected?
Oh, absolutely. But he could run for Mr.
Something
Aldridge
else.
or
Okay.
Mr.
Well,
Perno's
we assumed
seat. Yes,
because
I'm
he ran
sorry.
for. Okay.
Yes, no.
I see. Okay, you don't have to live in the section or the seat where you're elected? No, because we vote at large. Lynn Haven votes at large.
Yeah.
There's no wards.
All right, I'll ask you the same question. Did you or anyone from your campaign help him make a decision to step away?
I've talked to Mr. Gray maybe 4 times in the past 5 months. One of them was at a commission meeting, and then the rest of the time was either in a forum or when we were sitting at the tent, early voting. The only thing that I had heard was that his wife told me, Kara, that he came down with COVID. And I talked to him the previous week because it had been raining and stuff, and he had been coughing. And his wife showed up. I said, Kara, you need to get him to the emergency room. He doesn't look good. And over the weekend, apparently he contracted COVID, and she came back and she said, yes, he has COVID.
Have you spoken to him since he dropped out?
No.
No, not at all?
No.
Anyone from your campaign?
No.
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 All right.
I just, no. As a matter of fact, I even put a Facebook message out telling my people that I was back in, and I said, please say your thoughts and prayers for Mr. Gray, because I knew he was, dealing with COVID. That's all I knew.
Okay. In the April election, voters said no to changing the city's current charter. You go first. Why do you think that is, and do you believe the charter needs any changes?
First, yes, the charter does need to be changed. Secondly, why do I think they voted no on it? It is because I think the citizens probably feel it was rushed, and they wanted more time and to have a board put together so people could have input on it, which is their right. The charter was created by the citizens, for the citizens, and I'm all for that. The one thing that I find is odd is that what they tried to change was bringing it modernized to more gender neutrality. And I brought this up in a commission meeting. If they voted no, because if you read the charter correctly, if you vote no, then basically what you're saying is the charter's not going to change. In theory, according to the charter, a female cannot be mayor.
30 seconds.
All right, so you'd make changes to it then?
Yes,
and bring it back to
absolutely.
the voters?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. How about you? How do you feel about the charter?
Absolutely. I think it needs to be looked at, examined by a group of residents from all different areas in Lynn Haven, old and young alike. There are many things in the charter that are just obsolete. There are things that need to change, like Mr. Dick said, him, her, that kind of thing. That's nothing compared to what some people would like to change. But I, again, think if we would connect with our residents, if we would sit down and let them be a part of their own government and talk to them, have them come up with discussions and bring it to the commission and let us vote on what we think after we discuss it. I'm so much against it's the residents against the government. When I was first elected, I had a very sweet man say to me, and he'll know who he is. He said, you know what you just got elected to do? And I said, what? And he said, you're going to protect me from City Hall. Mm-hmm. And I said, really? And I worked very hard to do that in the last 4 years, I can honestly say.
All right, time is winding down, but this type of venue, compared to regular television, traditional television, gives us a little time to go over. So I want you, since you're next to go first, Ms. Tinder, ask Mr. Dick a question, and then we'll reverse it.
Sure.
I guess I would just ask Mr. Dick, why would you like to be a commissioner? It's certainly not for the money. There's no money in it. No. There are connections. There are a lot of other things that hopefully we will end real soon. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to hear why you would really like to become commissioner.
And thank you for asking.
Yep.
Because, quite frankly, I haven't been asked that by a whole lot of people. The reason that I want to be a commissioner is because I have sat back and I have watched the blatant mistruths be spoken, the blatant cause of division, and that does not get Lynn Haven where Lynn Haven needs to be. When you're in a commission meeting, and I use this analogy quite a bit, if you're voting for me and I'm elected, I work for you. If you have a business and I go to that business and I'm doing a job and you're going to pay me to do it, you're expecting me to be prepared. And when you go to a commission meeting, it is no different. You get your packet the Thursday before or the Friday, and you should be doing your homework. So when you ask these questions about, what is a knuckle truck? Or what does this check go for? Or what does this check go for? You have ample opportunity to sit down with either department heads, the city manager, or whoever it is, and ask these questions. The reason that that's important is because you don't come back and ask it in a commission meeting to where it makes you look like you're looking for a gotcha moment, or there's something funny going on here. That promotes transparency, and it also promotes trust.
Question for Ms. Tinder?
How do I start?
Let's keep it simple.
Absolutely. I did write one down, if you don't mind. I would like to ask it. If I can find it here, please forgive me. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
I wasn't expecting that to go that way. All right. According to superseding indictment that was filed March 16th, 2021, you made a motion, and Mayor Anderson seconded the motion in June 23rd, 2020 commission meeting for Mr. Finch's company to get a $15 million no-bid contract for the city's rebuild. The rest of the commission voted against yours and former mayor's wishes in favor of bidding the project out, which resulted in millions of dollars savings for Lynn Haven taxpayers. After this latest indictment of Mr. Finch, you stated on a local radio show you were in favor of the no bid for James Finch because it was all about the money.
Yep.
Do you still think James Finch should have gotten a no bid contract that would have cost Lynn Haven taxpayers millions of dollars more?
Okay, great question. Great question. First of all, I never said no bid. What we were talking about was a build situation where the contractor gets with the city. Mr. Finch had talked to me about it was going to cost the city $15.5 million to build the police department, city hall, the library, remove the other library, and do everything that had to be done, start to finish, for $15.5 million. That made so much sense to me. It did not mean that nobody could bid against him. And that also included the entire block behind Walgreens.
Yeah.
That included all the property. And I've had a lot of people tell me that we should centralize that. It's too late for that now, so that's water under the dam. But that made common sense to me. It was all about the money, because right now we're going to spend probably between 40 and 60 million for the same thing that was 15.5. To me, again, the older I get, the more frugal I get. It just didn't make sense. But it did not mean that he was the only one that could do it. Everybody could have bid on it if they wanted to, but he was just being upfront about how he could do it. So,
if I may,
Quickly.
please, quickly. So, in regards to that property behind Walgreens, I was in your restaurant and spoke with you, and you asked me what I thought about that property. Do you remember what I told you?
nope.
Ben Janke stood up in a commission meeting and he said it is a very bad idea to take that property and build on it because it takes that revenue off the tax roll.
Who's Ben Janke?
Ben Janke is a CRA director, I believe,
Yeah.
and so he's
Just
an
checking.
official with Lynn Haven.
Yes.
The other caveat to that is that when you go on a hook, basically, which is what was implied, to go with one person, that would have cost the city at least $17 million
Versus 60?
versus the 60 that's coming from FEMA. All of that money to build that police department, the EOC, all the other buildings were money that's coming from FEMA and insurance.
And I hope it is.
It,
Did he get the project?
No.
No.
No,
It
he
was-
didn't.
No,
it
we
was
bid
just
it. No,
voted
we,
down.
we bid it out.
Okay.
Culpeper
And-
got it.
And,
All right.
And
Well,
one,
then
one
that-
of the things that Mayor Anderson had ran on is that she would never pass the gavel to vote on anything, which she did several times.
Because the
This
mayor
happened.
in Lynn Haven is also a commissioner. They get a
Right.
vote,
Yes,
correct?
they get
Okay.
the final.
And
Yeah.
so she was
All right.
able to pass the gavel and actually make a motion in which Ms. Tinder seconded to give it to Finch.
All right, but it didn't happen.
No, it
No.
didn't
No.
happen,
No.
and that's
Okay.
that's really interesting. It was made a motion and seconded, and it never happened. Instead, we got barraged with questions by the city attorney, who's also gone now, about, well, you didn't mean this. Did you say that? What did you mean? And that became kind of a joke. It just disappeared,
All
like
right.
a lot of the non-transparent things do in
Well,
our city.
I should have just let you two ask each other
Sorry.
questions all the time. No, you're great. You're both great. And we appreciate you so much coming out and taking the time to do this for us.
Thank
and for
you.
the voters of Lynn Haven.
Thank you.
Tomorrow night, Lynn Haven City Commission candidates for Seat 3 will be here. 2 newcomers, George Hines Jr. and Jamie Wark. We hope you will join us at 7 p.m. right here on mypanhandle.com. And remember, early voting starts on Monday, next Monday the 10th. It goes through the 14th. It is 7 to 7 at the Senior Center. If you'd like to wait until Election Day, May 18th, it will also be at the Senior Center from 7 to 7. And, of course, we will always have all the results right here on News 13, your local election headquarters. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.